Go.
All right, guys, welcome. My name is Kurt Kruger. I am Pioneer High STEM coordinator. This is beginning our 10th season of STEM Cafes, which for me is difficult to believe, but welcome. We have probably more students tonight than we have ever had at a single STEM Cafe. Yeah. And part of that is some of our instructors, Ms. Case, Ms. Benson, and a few others are actually making it a requirement, which is nice. So how many of you have never been to a STEM Cafe? Okay, so quite a few of you. Okay, good. So welcome. All right, so first thing, if you could please mute your phones so we don't have any interruptions, that would be great. Okay, so I'm gonna, since you guys are here to fulfill a STEM level 1, I'm just gonna do a quick little overview. I'm actually gonna be on Friday and next week going into some classes and talking to classes about how to do a STEM level 1. For tonight, it's very simple. Everybody should have one of these on a clipboard. On the back, you will notice that you are going to take some notes, okay? So it's really important. I'm always available, by the way. Everybody knows that. I live in the Spark Center to help you guys complete your level 1. And I really encourage you guys to not come to the presentation, write some notes, and then put this away. Do your level 1, finish it, so you don't have to think about it, so it's fresh in your memory. And the other side of your blue sheet is an instruction sheet. Please read it, okay? It goes step by step, so there's 2 parts to it. You need to write up tonight's presentation, okay, following this format, okay? And then you need to find an article of some similar topic. Mr. Porter has actually provided an article that Mr. Carpenter has put on our Google Classroom. If you are not part of the STEM Google Classroom, please do that. If you go there, the article's there, you can pull it up and use that as your second piece. And the second piece, as it shows here, you need to write that up too, okay? And by writing it up, make a Google Doc. When you are done with it and it's proofread, and maybe show it to your science advisor, then you're going to make it a PDF and you're going to put it onto your Weebly or your Google sites, okay? So that's part of your STEM digital portfolio, okay? And again, if you have questions, let me know. Also on the bottom here is our pioneerhighstem.weebly.com. On there, okay, in fact, Mr. Carpenter did a sample level 1 so that you can see what a finished sample level 1 is. There's also some student level 1s on there. So use that to help you complete your level 1. Typically, your write-up is 2 pages. You know, it shouldn't take you too long. Do it, get it done, post it on your digital portfolio, and remember to earn your STEM level 1. How many events do you have to go to? 2. Okay. So events that we provide, this is one of the things I'm going to talk to classes about. Obviously, our STEM Cafes, we do 1 a month. But I also do our planetarium shows that I'll talk about in a second. And that can count as a STEM level 1 also. Okay, we actually, because this got postponed a week, my planetarium show is next Wednesday, so a week from today. And of course, if you have questions, come talk to me. Okay, that's what I'm here for. Okay, so just for general information, on the table out there is, oh, by the way, this STEM Google Classroom, the QR code or the little QR squared or whatever is on the table out there. There's also one outside the Spark Center and also posted around the school. So our STEM cafes this year are on this piece of paper. You're free to take one. It's also on our website, just showing you all the cool and what we think is a very strong STEM cafe year for us. And then also is my planetarium shows. Okay, same thing. Planetarium shows typically are, we talk about some astronomy issues. Next Wednesday we're going to talk about a rock that one of the rovers on Mars found that possibly could have some precursors of living organisms on it, which would obviously be very interesting. We'll talk about that. And then we watch a full dome movie on the dome. The next Wednesday is Dynamic Earth. It's actually one of my favorite full dome movies. Okay? All right. Format for tonight is very simple. We'll have a talk, maybe 45 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever it is. Then we will take a little cafe break. Our cafe is provided by Culinary. And tonight we have some more cookies, which are delicious. We got some coffee, we got some water. And while people are doing that, that's going to be out that door there. People will have an opportunity to speak one-on-one with our speaker tonight. Okay. Now, we've been encouraging staff and people at Piner to recommend speakers for us. And in fact, I think of 7 of our speakers, 5 of them were recommended by some of your other teachers. And tonight's speaker was recommended by our photographer extraordinaire, who probably goes to more events and games than any person, maybe the principal, but probably not. Ms. Mindy Breslin, who obviously is a photographer also, and was our contact to have Mr. Porter here tonight. And I am going to let her introduce.
Hi guys, I'm also on the smart board, so that's my connection here. Welcome, I'm really happy to see everybody tonight. Hopefully you'll find this a really interesting presentation tonight. This is Ken Porter, he's a photojournalist with the Press Democrat. So he's been at the Press Democrat for 38 years. His career started at the Lake County Record Bee in 1983. And from there, his first professional photojournalism job took him to Midland, Texas, where he worked until 1987, eventually taking the job in Santa Rosa. His experience runs the gamut of photography, from professional sports to portraiture, fine art, landscape, still life, disaster coverage, and nearly everything in between. I've seen all his photos, and that's true. He's been published in nearly every major news magazine and newspaper, including National Geographic, the New York Times, and the London Times. He's won hundreds of awards, and some highlights include the 2018 Pulitzer Prize in breaking news reporting for coverage of the 2017 Tubbs Fire, National Press Photographers Association Small Market Photographer of the Year in 1922.
1922.
20? Yeah, you are. Good. I'm older than you. 2022, 7-time winner of the National Press Photographers Association Photographer of the Year for its Western region, including the last 3 years in a row. He's an avid storm chaser, spending nearly a month each year crisscrossing the Great Plains, photographing severe weather, working to document our rapidly changing climate and the effects on our society. So, you have any questions that are like climate science related, he's had like a front seat to observe all things that are happening. So please join me in welcoming him.
Thanks to Mindy and Kurt and Steve for reaching out, especially Mindy. We've known each other for quite a long time through Sideline. I don't get to shoot the Piner High School sporting events very much. And I really, because your teams are great, I wish I could do it more, but we have 40 high schools or whatever high schools, 40 districts that we have to cover. I'm a local guy. I grew up in Lake County. My dad moved us to Clear Lake so we could fish, and bought a boat, and we fished 3 times in our boat. So that's kind of my background. I started out photographing I would deliver newspapers. We would print newspapers at the Record Bee. We would insert ads in the newspaper. We would bundle them, put them in post office sacks, and I drove them around the lake 3 days a week, and they trusted me with a vehicle. And pretty soon I really got interested in photography, you know, and journalism. And I started taking my camera with me and started taking pictures on my route, which the papers were always late. And but I started getting pictures in the newspaper. And I thought, well, this is pretty cool. And back then, we didn't get paid very much. Freelancers only got paid 25 cents a column inch. So if you had a picture that ran 6 columns and it ran 6 inches deep, you know, and back then the broadsheet tabs are like, the newspapers were this wide, they were great. So there were a lot of 6-column photos in the newspaper because I got no money that way. I was making $22 a photo, thereabouts. And I would probably make, in a week, I'd probably make $150. And that's what I lived on. Of course, I lived at home while I was doing that, so my dad bought all my food for me. From Lake County, I moved to West Texas. And I also went to Santa Rosa Press College, so I stayed as local as I could. I'm really indebted to the community because I've learned so much here. All the teachers have been extraordinarily helpful in my career. I moved to West Texas. If anybody knows high school football in West Texas, I was smack dab in the middle of it in Midland, Texas. Anybody know the movie Friday Night Lights or the book Friday Night Lights? I worked with the photographer on the book. I didn't get any credit on it, but I helped him. He called me and said, hey, what's, you know, I said, well, now you got to go to the Lee, and Odessa permanent. And back then, you know, Lee was, it went back to Lee because of the Lee was taken away from me because of the Civil War reference, but they've since gotten it back. So it's Middle Lee and Odessa Permian Moja. And I spent 3.5 years photographing state football championships, and they take football really seriously. My first football game I photographed in West Texas, there were 25,000 people. It was a Friday night. That was a preseason game. Yes. So that's kind of where I got I cut my teeth on football and sports. From there, I called. I heard they had a job opening at the Press Democrat from my old teacher, John Barron, called me and says, hey, they've got an opening. The PD, why don't you send your stuff in? So it took a month of going back and forth with snail mail, sending portfolios, and I was sending whole tapes of portfolio of pictures out. And finally got the job in August of 1987. So I've stayed here because I love this community. I have a son that's a fire captain in Monterey. My ex-wife used to go to Pioneer here. She's a graduate in 1986. So I've been really close to the community here, and I don't know, there's something about Santa Rosa that draws me back again and again. And I've had job offers to go other places, and I just immediately stayed in Santa Rosa because this is where my roots are. Northern California is my roots, and I figured that I can cover it the best. But a little about what I do. Today, as before I got here, I actually had to go home and take a shower. I went to a fire in Casadero. And this is kind of how, when you get, I ran up the hill to this fire. The hill was like this. So I got all my fire gear on, I ran up the hill. And just like any photographer, you make mistakes. You know, so I saw the helicopter was coming, the CAL FIRE helicopter was coming over, and it was going to make a drop on a house that was burning because they couldn't put the fire out. So I kind of stationed myself with people in the foreground and helicopter in the background, and I wasn't ready for the rotor wash. So the rotor wash, it blew all of our helmets and hats off. And I don't have pictures of that because you couldn't see it. It was all dust. It was like a big tornado. But after the dust cleared, I started shooting again. I turned around and started shooting. So that foreground's really dark, and I'll probably pull that up in Photoshop tonight when I get ready to process the image. But you can see how I kind of think of what I'm doing. And you know, I treat spot news like sports photography. You have to shoot everything. You have to photograph everything that moves. And I kind of, you know, you can see all the dust flying around. Oops, sorry. So I'll do fast motion. Fast motor drive, it goes about 9 frames a second, 10 frames a second. And these helicopters carry 1,000 gallons every time they dump. And it's fairly unusual to see them dump on a house. So you're the first one seeing this image. This has not appeared in the newspaper yet. It'll appear online sometime tomorrow. And then I kind of goofed around. My exposure was all over the place. There was heavy shade in the foregrounds. in the foreground and bright sunlight in the background. You just kind of have to work with it the best you can. You kind of get an idea of what my thinking is there overexposed. I'm like, you know, I make mistakes too. And I'm not, you know, like look at the lens hood up in the left-hand corner is out. It's still in there. You know, I made a lot of mistakes. I was really hairy. I was kind of miffed at that there was so much dust in the mirror. I was not prepared for it because I would have happened in the next picture. And so you kind of look, you know, you kind of wait for things to happen. Like I look for rainbows on, you know, on the water. You know, and then I saw, hey, there's a fire crew coming by. Well, there's the fire crew. So I got them marching by to take care of the part that burned in the wildland. And so I thought that makes a better picture. And then to add an extra image to it is a helicopter flying by. So I try to fill up as much of the frame as I can when I'm shooting pictures. And more of it is just kind of being in the right place at the right time. And you can see I moved the lens a little bit here. Watch, so I'll move this one. And the house fire smoke is really toxic. It's not good for you. And I shudder to think when I turned 70, 75, 80 years old, what it's done to my body, covering all of the fire, Tubbs fire, Clayton fire, Valley fire, every fire since 2015 I've covered except for the camp fire. And the fires on the side. Which is kind of, so there's the homeowner. That's it, sorry. That's all I got for you. I'm not kidding. Okay, so this is what I really do. I'm really involved in climate. I think our climate's changing. No matter what you might think, our climate has changed. I see it for the analogy that we use in the fog and the hot water is true. I've lived in Northern California my whole life, and I see the changes. I see how hot it gets now. I see our droughts are longer and more intense, more diverse, and then our wet seasons are more intense and weather. If anybody knows anybody named Daniel Swain, does anybody know who that is? Daniel Swain is a great resource. He's a climatologist out of Colorado. Anyway, this was the fireworks explosion in Esparto a couple of months ago in July, and I just happened to be on another assignment in Davis. And I saw the black smoke, and I decided to go to the fire. And my old photography team, well, my first boss, Timothy Baker, who lived in Petaluma, he said, if you see dark smoke and it doesn't dissipate, go to the fire, because it's you know, dark smoke is a pretty intense fire. So I get there, and I'm kind of goofing around, not really just trying to take pictures of people on the fire. And I start driving down the road towards the building that's on fire. I have no idea what's going on other than that I think they're fireworks. I thought they were bullets and firearm. And this battalion chief comes up behind me and says, what are you, so many expletives that I can't repeat here. He says, you need to get back. This is a fireworks factory. I said, oh, you're kidding. Because I thought there were firefighters down there fighting the fire. There weren't. So I drove around about 50 yards and go back, and I got out of the car. So I just started shooting pictures. I had a 400mm lens on. I just started shooting pictures and had a camera vertical. And all of a sudden the thing blew up. So when it blew up, it shocked me. And there's a bunch of frames where it's just nothing but sky because it shocked me so much. And then the concussion wave. And the concussion wave actually goes through you. It doesn't go around you, it goes through you. It's like someone hitting you with cold water, but more deadly. Because you can get brain injuries from concussion blasts. And it actually took the breath out of me. Boom, and it went boom. And I went boom, and I started shooting again. I had like a half a second to react to it. And I got this photo when they ran all over the country. And it ran real big. And you know, that's just being in the right place at the right time. But it's also, I'm an eternal teenager. I am curious about everything that goes on in our community. And sometimes I get really tired and don't want to do that, but I still have this curiosity about what happens and what our livelihoods. So this is in Nice Valley. This is from the Kincaid fire, 2022. 20, I forget. I remember something. I saw this tree burning. I actually ended up. I was about right up here on Ida Clayton Road over here, shooting a picture of firefighters sleeping when the fire was way over in Lake County. I had to have something for deadline. And when I drove by this tree, there were a bunch of photographers out there, about 8 of them out there, shooting a picture of the tree. And I thought, I am not going to shoot a picture that everybody else is shooting. So I did my thing on top of the hill, came back down, and also I sent my photos from the computer up on top of the hill. And that way I made deadline was 10:30 that night. And I drove by the tree. There was nobody there except one video photographer who I'm really good friends with. I drove by the tree, and I thought to myself, you know what, if that appears on every front page tomorrow morning and I don't have that picture, I'm going to be a laughing stock. They're going to scoop me in my own backyard. So I turned around and did a 180, and I turned around. I shot about 10 frames, and my last frame obviously was my best frame. That is a meteorite coming through the frame up there. And when you're on a long exposure, anything going through the sky will create a trail. Now I've had people call me, that's not real, that's not real, that's fake, that's AI. It's like, not AI. 2019, we didn't know what AI was. So it's a real picture. But the difference with my picture, other than the meteorite, is that I put a sense of placement with Mount St. Helena in the background. So you obviously, everybody looks at that picture and say, well, that's Mount St. Helena, because we've all seen that silhouette in the daytime or at night. It works nicely. Lightning is dangerous, but it's a lot of fun to photograph. This was the lightning siege in 2020, just 5 years ago. And I was on top of the geysers when I shot this. I'm a real avid meteorologist, so I study weather very closely. I'm 4, 5, 6, 7 days out ahead of the forecast. I have a lot of professional friends that are meteorologists that we talk every single day. There's a threat of lightning tonight, so we've been texting each other all day long. And but lightning is one of those things you got to be really dangerous about. Or it's going to be really dangerous, but you got to be really careful about. These are called clear air holes. So they're kind of like outside of the main stem of the storm. All these step leaders are searching for whatever's highest thing to grab a hold of. So with lightning, up in the geysers, here I was up there 2005, and the storm was coming towards me this August. The storm was coming towards me, and all of a sudden I heard this buzzing in the air. And I just thought, oh, this is power lines, because you hear power lines all over the place. Well, I thought to myself, well, there are no power lines up here. I looked around, there were no power lines. And I looked at all my antennas on my company vehicle, and they were sparkling blue. And I looked at my arm, and the hair on my arm was starting to stand up. I'm like, holy. I got my camera, not tripod, I just hold, okay, big lightning rod. And I got back in the car, and about 30 seconds later, a big bolt, probably 50 yards from me, and just was like, wham, boom! And blind, and then the sound, and it shakes the car. It's a lot of fun. So I chased storms in the springtime. This was in West Texas this year. This was in May. And we had watched the storm all day, and I got a picture of a tornado. And it is really, really, there's a lot of adrenaline. It's really exciting. Aurora Borealis, the northern lights last year in Lake County, that's Clear Lake in the foreground. You see how it turned the lake red. And this is about a 9-second exposure on the camera. And this is from the Hopland Grade. The Hopland Grade is the only place I can get high enough to get a view of the north, because if you're down below the mountains, like if you're at sea level, you go, like around here, the mountains block the view. So you have to get high enough. I know the area extremely well. Mindy has a better picture than I am, but I'm going to show this picture anyway. I drove 4,000 miles on the trip. A buddy had a ranch in I guess it was South Central Texas. And he's an old oil baron, but I used to work with him in Texas. He was a photographer. And he says, you know what? He says, this was started 2 years ago. He said, the eclipse comes right over my ranch. I said, well, it comes over a lot of ranches. He said, no, within 100 yards it comes over my ranch. So totality was within 100 yards of his ranch, straight down the middle. So I drove 4,000 miles to get a picture of the sun. And if you ever get a chance to do it, if you ever get a chance to do it, do it. It will change how you look at your world. It lasts 2 minutes or 4 minutes, and it's the most exciting thing you've ever seen. It's the middle of the birth of your kid. But eclipse is pretty amazing. This is the comet. Was it last year? Last year? I don't know. You know, not DUIs. This is the one last year. And that's up in the Geysers. It's my favorite place to go. There are 2 lone trees up there, and I take lots of pictures up there. I had to hike down into the canyon. Now, in the Geysers area, it's free range, so there's a lot of cows out there. And in the wintertime, they walk over, and there's a lot of people that think that's not good for the environment. But the ruts from the cows are this deep, and so I'm walking in the dark with a flashlight on my head. I look like such a geek. And I'm trying not to break my leg with a tripod and 2 cameras over my back. And I was able to make a decent photo. And I was trying to get something with no city lights in the background. This one's something. No, that's the sunset. It's the sunset because it came up right after sunset. It showed up at sunset, and then as it got closer to the horizon, it was covered a lot of protests. This was the Kings. No, this was the first one that we had. I think it was March. I'm always looking for faces and how they affect people. This was up at Galvano, and it was the sunrise ceremony they have on Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving. And I watched this guy, and it's about 31 degrees out. My batteries are going dead on my camera, I'm not having a flip. And I watched this guy, and I thought, he's going to do something interesting. And he did, and I got 3 frames off of him doing this. That was it. And the camera died. But I had done this 2 years before, so I kind of knew what people were going to do. I watched them, and they're really, I really respect the Native American and what's happened. And I'm very respectful of how to photograph them. And they kind of trust me now to a certain degree that I'm going to come in and not make photos that are slanders or anything like that. I'm going to show them in a natural light. Okay, well, I shot this one at 5:56 a.m. I shot this one at 8:56 a.m. Same day. The guy was at Lake Gala up in Fountain Grove, and he fell out of his kayak and was in this 50-degree water for about 3 hours before something else happened. And the firefighters went in and rescued him. So he's down on the left-hand side. Anybody know where this is? 2 Rock, across 2 Rock, just after the exit to the Tamales Coast Guard Station. Keep going to your right like you're going to Bodega Bay or Valley Forge, and it's right there. And this red door, I don't know if we have a red door out there. It goes to nowhere, but it was really fun. I think it's real fun. Looks like the machine on the right hand side is doing karaoke. My main sports is all about timing. No protest. I gotta make sure there's no dirty words in this one. It's really tough. There's a lot of really perfect. So part of my storm chasing trip, I went into Nebraska one night, and the storms kind of died out, but the sunset was amazing. And I told myself one year I passed by a photo with these lights, and Little League team was playing. The light was beautiful, and the clouds were dark in the background. And the lights just add this natural feel to it. And I told myself, I am not going to pass this up again. So I've done it a different couple of different times. I went to Nebraska, and these guys were having a softball game. They're just, the second baseman has beers. I mean, they're all farmers. They're all really cool guys. And I said, can I come out on the field and photograph? And they said, sure. Part of being a photojournalist is having that curiosity, but you can't be shy. You have to put yourself out there because you've got to get names. You've got to get phone numbers. You have to, you have to get the story. Photojournalism is you have to be a master at everything because you never know when that photo is going to be used. And you have to get it right the first time. Doesn't always happen. People look at you like, certainly you really want to photograph our meeting. I said, yeah, but look at the sunset. Oh, okay. State cross country. I can see the Mexico section. This was last year, and just after a rainstorm. And I kept waiting for somebody to fall there, and obviously, here we go. But there's a guy in the background. Anybody know where this is? Pulitzer, right park. Just, slice of life, sense of place, community belonging. This is what we do. First baseball game of the year. First picture of the year. Baseball for me. Literally the first frame I shot of baseball this year. This is Juneteenth down at the courthouse square. Okay, you gotta look at this one really closely. You can tell what it is. Well, it's a woman wearing a hat, and then she's unfurling American flags in the background. And this is part of the 3rd of July celebration at Harvard and Sebastopol. So, anybody shoot sports here? Anybody get the yearbook here? Okay. Softball, plant yourself outside of third base and wait for somebody to hit a home run. And the teams do this every time. I get a fun photo out of it every single time. This was in July also. This is a drowning at Pasadena Bridge. And I liked the swirl in the water. They didn't find the body until the next day. That's part of the job too, is you have to go out and cover spot and do it respectfully. Someone had thrown flowers into the water, and the swirl in the water by the rocks is making this really, like a galaxy. I guess it would be, I don't know. I guess you could call it galaxy, spiral formation. And ironically, it's where they found the body. It's right where the spiral was. But it really made a nice picture. So I'm leaning over the bridge, shooting down, and just the light is fading really quickly. It's about 7 o'clock at night. Still light, but I'm still shooting at about ASA 3200. Oh, probably 1/25th of a second at 2:8, which is really, you really have to hold the camera still. This is an elephant. You have to have the imagination to see that it's a pedestrian walk, and I'm pushing it over. Okay. This is the No Kings Day on Highway 12. Oh, sorry. This is Gilgamesh. Just little slices of love. Now, does anybody know if this is inside or outside? What's that? Outside. It looks like it's outside. They had a spotlight in the fairgrounds in the main pavilion. I guess it's the Grace Pavilion, and they were having baptisms on Easter Sunday. And it's just a clean background, a black background with this light. And I knew that if I opened it up just enough, just to stop the action, I would get all these rivulets of water coming off his back. It's a baptism. Pillow fights? Anybody ever seen the pillow fights? This is the daughter of the guy that won it this year, and he used to win it all the time. And he won it again this year, but that's his daughter. She just won it. Talk run at one of these schools that closed this year. I just kind of thought it was really cool with the sunglasses. And you can see my shoe at the bottom part right there. I kind of got that. The kids are laying down, yeah. And you know that stuff, that chalk that they use, or whatever it is that they use, gets in your camera. So you have to be really careful with it. Ruin the camera. Be very careful. People that do that over in India, when they do the color runs there, the holy age there, they have to wrap their cameras in plastic and tape them up because it gets in all your sensor cameras. Really, it's like the water. This is the last fire when we came into Santa Rosa. This is Skyhawk in the background. I apologize if these are triggering to people, but as part of what we do, we have to understand that climate has changed and that it's really brutal, and people need to know what's going on. And yes, it was really hot and it was very scary. And it was really windy, and embers are flying everywhere. It's a rodeo. I stopped at Stephenville, Texas, at a rodeo. It's a cowboy church. I have a lot of cowboy churches in Texas on one of my storm trips. Stopped there, and these guys were. Sunset was great. You know, the modest clouds coming down. There's rainbow there. You know, you couldn't ask for it. Guys wearing green. I wish somebody would wear red. But it's all about putting yourself out there. I said, "May I take photos of your road?" And they said, "Sure, why not?" Introduced myself. Sure. You're from California. Who do you work for? I said, "I work for the Press Democrat." Democrat. Everybody knows what's going on in the schools, especially in Santa Rosa. And this was San State University, where they slashed $20 million out of their budget and got to the athletic department. And these are, I believe these are basketball players or track, and they're all basically all saying goodbye. We had 1,000 people at this rally. It's really sad. It's all about emotion. This guy sells logs at fires, so firefighters are being killed. So he goes from tree to tree and cuts them down. And this is at the Dixie Fire in Susanville, near Susanville. And I guess it's closer to what's happening. So, but yeah, I just love this guy's look on his face. There's some storm pictures. Did you see that? So this is one of those tips down here. This is a tornado intercept vehicle. And it's not the guy that you see on YouTube all the time. It's not him, it's another guy. This was his first vehicle. He sold it. And so these guys take it out. And this woman jumped on top of this cloud that's coming towards us. It's got, baseball size hail on it. So you go from place to place, you jump out, you shoot pictures, and you take off because the hail is big and it can damage your car. I have a rental car, and I also get extra insurance. And they say, "What happened to that?" I said, "I have no idea. I was sleeping in a hotel one night, and a hail fell on it." So that's not blood on the bear. I did a story on the changing climate in Lake County about how Lake County is burned so many times. 73% of the county was burned. 76% of the county was burned. And because of that, the vegetation there doesn't have a chance to regrow. It just keeps cyclically. It becomes the brush comes back. There's no pine trees. There's no oak trees. It's just all leaves and brush. And so my job was to go up there, and I saw the bear. Shot up to my car window. I said, "Hey, bear." Hey, bear. It's the ugly dog contest. There's nothing ugly about the ugly dog contest. This is a fire up in Lake County. The Cash fire was here. This guy was having heat cramps in his toes and his legs. And it's just as painful as the both. But they were all laughing at me. You see the guy on the top right there? He's putting that little I guess a bunch of light packs with water. It was hot. It was about 92 degrees, 93 degrees, and this guy's just walking up the mountain like this. Guess who walked up the mountain with him? This is a dying thunderstorm. Actually, 2 supercells. This is near New Mexico, and south of the plains of New Mexico. And I wanted to show you a wanted to show you what a thunderstorm looks like and what an anvil looks like on a fire. They're basically the same thing, but one's a little bit more deadly than the other. All the tornadoes will be deadly. This is from what was the fire that we had a couple weeks ago? Oh my God, picket fire. And that's the first visit. I sent this in and it wasn't used. It was never used in publication. And I made that money. This is the same fire. And another photographer, Noah Berger, who was a great fire photographer, worked for the Associated Press and Chronicle and so on. And we came upon his house at 11 at night. And we had to wait for this crew to come by. And we were just kind of killing time, you know. There's something will happen to you. I'm happy. This is also part of the schools, and we had the final vote on sociology. And I wanted to show, it's a small room, and I wanted to show, I don't know, a little bit about what goes on. And sometimes meetings can be pretty boring visually, and you just have to add a little bit. You have to look for something that's a little bit more storytelling. Now, if I was going to do this photo again, I would have moved over to my left just a little bit and kind of framed him in that hallway. This is the good fire. Baseball in March or May. I just like shooting baseball back of it, you know, especially at Rec Park. It's so dusty. It's really cool. This was just about a week ago. We had those dying thunderstorms come through last week, where it rained a little bit. And my favorite place to go is Spring Lake, because I'm always like, I gotta have that horizon where there's no city in the background, there's no mountains. I want that clean horizon. And this happened. This is from the Valley Fire in 2015. The top image is from 2015. That's from September 2015. The bottom image is shot last Sunday. This is the church they rebuilt. And that was the fire, the Valley Fire, coming down the hill on September 12th. And this photo down here is soccer practice with kids and the mountains right over here. Where this is. So things have changed there. And the last picture is St. Vincent when they won their first state championship. Since they didn't get to throw the water with the Gatorade water thing, they decided that they were going to all restore balls, which is great. And I positioned myself and got ran over with the ball. And that's it. You want to see some more?
Yes.
All right. Give me 1 second. I have a lot more. Oh, I don't know. Billions. Why do I keep them all? Where do I keep them?
Where?
Oh, we have little hard drives that we put them on. So everything that I've shot, so I can go shoot a football game, I'll shoot 2,000 frames, and I'll put it in, you know, and with film, I used to maybe shoot 5 over film, now I shoot 2,000 frames and have to go through them. It's a real pain. I'll show you what I turned in the first here. For August, this is the part of the year competitions. So this is Bog's Habitat. So I enter this contest every month. It's not because I want to win awards, it's because I want to fit myself against other people who do the same kind of daily work that I do. This is a good way every month to figure out what you shot, where your holes are, how many good photos you made, how many bad photos you made. And it keeps you honest in the business because you got to kind of do things a little bit different. story I did on Lake County. And you can see I shoot a variety of things. When I go to fires, I'm shooting them. And there's a lot of repetition. This is at the fair. That was the new flume ride that they had this year. And it was really hard to get a photo of this, just so I've shot like 1,000 frames and got one good picture. Because when you do autofocus on the cameras now, it was focusing on the spray that was coming back. Everything was autofocus. I sat there in my living room going through every single photo. I'm like, oh man, this really sucks. This is a really bad thing. This is the point fire, the ridge fire, no, lake fire in the county. Shoot a lot of pictures. That's the new air tankers that they have in California. I've been waiting for a couple of years to get a photo of this one. Okay, this hill is as steep as it looks. This is about a 35, 40 degree hill. It's 100 degrees, and I didn't have any water. I got to that, and I had a knee injury in a football game a couple of years last year, and I got taken out by a player from Fairfield. Anyway, it took me out as I was in the end zone. It took me out. I broke my thumb. Cameras went flying. My knee was about this big around. I had to go through rehab for about 8 weeks. And I've been trying to get in shape for about 60 pounds in the last year. And I was able to make it up this hill without any water, without any help. And it was a personal victory. You have to, when you're shooting these things, you kind of have to. Try not to be too repetitious. And as far as climate goes, it's changed a lot. And that's the reason I got from the fire. I get up early in the morning to read it. I read all the National Weather Service stuff. I read North Twitter. I read Climate Prediction Center. Read all the stuff from NOAA. I literally text meteorologists from television stations and before.
And do you mind taking a few questions while you're
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, have your questions.
So you guys don't be shy.
Yeah.
Okay, we got him here. He's a professional. Don't be shy, and he'll answer any questions. I do have 2 questions.
Yes.
One is, do you ever use a drone to take pictures?
No, I don't have my drone license. I am in the process of getting my drone license.
Okay.
The last one.
And 2, who is the most famous meteorologist you've ever met? And have you ever met Ginger Z?
I have met Ginger Z.
Okay.
I met her on a storm chase. I said, "Hi, Ginger,"
Yep.
and that was it.
That was it.
Well, they're great. One of the best I think I've met was Warren Bateman. He's well known, but he's not well respected. But he's a nice guy. He does really great work. Famous, I don't know. I used to, back before they had computers, when I storm chased in the 90s and late 80s, I would stop in the National Weather Service and I would sit down with the guys and we'd go over the forecast. And we do paper plots of where the storm would be before computers. You just kind of had to, but they were really cool. You could walk and you could see how they did their job. They would show you all the readouts, they'd show you all the knowledge that were coming in. In 1987, or 1989, when it was 92, firestorm hit over, there was no warnings. There were no red flag warnings out. There was nothing out on fire. All I had to go on was I woke up at 7 a.m. on my way to a football game, 49ers and Detroit Lions. And I got out of my house. I had a good view of Myers Mountains. And I saw the Geiger fire. And it was already 92 degrees at 7 a.m. And it was windy. And I realized, oh, we're going to have to check that. So you kind of just have to go on your own with that. As far as meteorologists I work now, I work with Rob Maida quite a bit. He's a really nice guy. I work closely with a couple of fire professionals here. And basically, even though X is what to be desired for right now, there's a lot of information on it. Daniel Swain is probably the nicest man I've ever met. He's probably the most intelligent man I've ever seen about climate. And we talk occasionally when I see him. You know, I saw him at a workshop a couple months ago, and once in a while we'll communicate via Twitter. Mostly it's done through messaging on Twitter, not on Instagram. And you just have to become, I'm not a meteorologist, you just because everything that we do is tied up with weather. Football games, for instance. Okay, tomorrow night, Friday night, it might rain. There might be thunderstorms. So what do you do when there's a thunderstorm? Do you have kids playing in the lightning? No. You have to be up on that stuff. You know? And so with my job, I have to be constantly up on the weather. Constantly. But that's just me. Not everybody's like that.
You guys, other questions?
More questions?
Shy.
Yes.
What's something that you want people to know about photography?
Oh, that is not, it's not as easy as it was. You make a lot of mistakes. And I've been doing it since 1982. And a little background there. When I was a senior in high school, at Lake High School, up here local, I kept cutting tennis practice. And my tennis teacher was also the physics teacher, but also the photography teacher. And I don't remember anything from physics, but I remember everything from photography. And he was also the tennis coach. So his elective photography was the last class of the day. So he's, silly me, he says, hey, why don't you take my, you need an elective. He looked at my schedule, he says, you need an elective, that's just my photography class. All right, whatever. I get in there, he says, now I can keep an eye on you because you keep cutting tennis practice. And I'd seen practice really bad. And so by the end of the class, I was teaching, by the end of the semester, I was teaching the class. He'd go off on 25-minute breaks, and I would teach the class about photography. I was 17 years old, and I realized at that moment that's what I wanted to do with my life. But I've been shooting pictures. He always told me there's three things that you can do your entire life, right? You can play tennis, you can play golf, and you can take pictures. Well, my golf game sucks. I can't, my knees are shot for tennis. But I can take pictures. And so I'm going to do this unless I'm not. But I started when I was 8 years old in the back of my dad's car. We were stranded on a highway in New Mexico. And there was an electrical storm around us. And I tried to take pictures with a Hawkeye, with a Polaroid land camera. Of course, that's the kind of, take the picture, you take the picture out, cut it under your underarm, makes the emulsion, makes the picture appear. I had nothing but dark frames. You know, I thought, oh, I got this lighting. I was 8 years old with that. I got my first camera when I was on my first real camera, a Hawkeye Cinematic X 126. Had the cartridge film, and I started taking pictures of that. And I kept cutting everybody's heads off. So that's not very good. And I got a camera when I was when I turned 15. My dad gave me a camera, so I used to chase all the fires in Lake County on my kids' bike. Honest truth. But that's how I started, and I've been doing it ever since. Yes?
Sorry, I didn't picture.
I'm sorry? My name? Yeah. Kent. K-E-N-T. Porter, P-O-R-T-E-R. Yes?
Do you get paid like by the hour?
I get paid by the hour. I am part of the news. I'm part of the newspaper board, so we're all hourly, except for that. Yes.
What is probably the most dangerous shot you've ever taken?
Oh, so there's three right up there. Probably the explosion in July. The Bay Bridge photo I shot in 1989 during Zone 3. I was hanging off the bridge for that one. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So in 1989, I was assigned to shoot the World Series between the Giants and the Eagles. And we're on the field on risers, so there's three levels to the riser on the first base side. And we're all shooting pictures of Martin McGuire and, what's his name? The first baseman, Will Clark. they're talking about cars. Now, we're all shooting pictures, and there's this photographer right beside me, he's always shaking the razor. His name is Richard Mack from Sports Illustrated. Really funny guy. I found out later that he wasn't a very nice guy, but it's funny to me. But anyway, SI sport shooters are really good. And he was always, he was always shaking the razor. So anyway, the game starts, and we all have our 600mm lenses, and they're about this long, and they weigh about 15 pounds, and they're on tripods. And you stand up the whole game as you're shooting the game. And all of a sudden, the rider started to move. I looked over at Richard, I said, "Would you stop it?" He said, "Dude, that is not me." And so I look up, and the lights and County Park are going like this, shaking back and forth. And then I look at the field starts going like this, starts rolling. I'm like, "Oh, this is perfect." And at a corner of my eye, I could see up in center field third deck, the concrete starts falling on the people below. Like, oh my gosh, the stadium's going to collapse. So we all hopped out of there because we thought the stadium could collapse on us. So we're all out of the position. Well, that ended 15 seconds, right? So I went downtown and shot some pictures of 6th and Townsend. Down in the financial district where there's a lot of glass that was broken. And I thought, I'm just really not getting this year. And I was too far away from the fire in the marina. I didn't really make it there. So I heard there was a split in Bay Bridge. I thought, okay, I'll do this. So I parked my car somewhere down by the ferry building and got to the top, or got to the lower deck of Bay Bridge. And I thought, how am I going to get out there? I was walking that. And it was hot. It was probably 85 degrees that night. It was hot. I was wearing blue jeans and a blue shirt. So I keep walking, and all of a sudden there's a roadblock. So being relatively young, not knowing about 409.5, which gives us access to news events, I thought, oh, I don't want to get, I've come a long way, I don't want to get stuck. So next time you go across the Bay Bridge, there are ladders on the side of the Bay Bridge. They're closed now, they're locked, probably because of me. And they were open at that time. So the only way to get to the top deck was to climb these ladders. So I've got a camera bag, 2 cameras, and a pocket full of film. And I get on the bridge, and the water's below me, and I climb up the ladder. Of course, it's enclosed, right? It's like a gridded ladder, so I get to the top deck. Okay, no problem. So I walk a little further, and all of a sudden there's another roadblock. So I got to the other ladder, and I went back down. I got to Treasure Island. And Treasure Island is about 1.5 miles from the sea. And I thought to myself, this is a long way. I'm not going to get my picture. It's getting dark. And merchants were coming up from Treasure Island, and they were dressed in blue jeans and a blue shirt, and they had pea caps on with pea coats, white hats. And I said, "Hey, can you give me a ride?" And they said, "Where are you on?" I'm impressed. And I said, I'm afraid I'm going to get stopped. And he said, "Oh, hop in the truck." So they put a coat on me, and they put a hat on me, and I went just like them. And they got me pretty close to the split, but I was still on the bottom deck of the bridge. So I walked up another ladder, climbed up another ladder, and got to the split in Bay Bridge. And you don't realize what you're doing until you do it. What kind of danger you're putting yourself in. And the only way to get that picture was, by then it was full on dark. So my exposures were probably a half a second to a second apiece. And I had the film was pushed to, it was 800 ASA, pushed to 1600 ASA. It was one stop breathing. And I said to myself, I thought there's an earthquake. Because I'm looking down at the water, and I'm laying down. There's a photographer holding my belt. I said, "I'll hold your belt if you hold my belt." He didn't shoot this picture. So I had to jam the camera in the side of the bridge, right in the crack where the bridge fell like this. And I shot my pictures. So, and he did the same thing. I held his belt so we wouldn't fall. And I don't know how I got back, we just got back. So at that time, we developed film at the trailers at County Park. Each organization had a trailer. So we were working with the Associated Press. And I dropped my film off, and I went, whatever, I don't think I have a good picture. And it wasn't digital. You couldn't look at the back of your frame. You just had to know what the film could do with certain types of light. So I went back out, went down to 6th and Townsend, and shot a picture of some people digging through the rubble there where some people died. And got back and went through Hunter's Point. And at Hunter's Point, they were having a riot because all the electricity was out. And a good friend of mine, who his name was Giovanni Molina, was riding on the back of his motorcycle with his daughter for now all the time. At that time, he was with the Sacramento Bee. He got hit in the head with a brick, and he lost some sight one of the times. So that was pretty good. So through Hunter's Point, get back to John State Park from my other filming. So I opened the trailer door, and everybody stops. And they all look at me like, oh, I messed this up really bad. This must be a really bad photo for everybody to look at me like this. And all of a sudden, the AP, director of the AP, came up to me and says, you did a hell of a job. So the next day, it ran on front page of the New York Times, front page of the Press Democrat, I believe. It ran worldwide. I got clips from Africa, from England, from Europe, from Russia.
Someone loved the picture, yes, we were looking down.
I was looking down on the
top deck had like
top deck had fallen. It was like this, and the top deck was fallen. Well, the top deck was up here, the car had fallen. There was a red car like this, and then the blinkers were going. And there was, if you look at the photo closely, there's a guy on the right-hand side. I don't know who that guy is, but that was the picture. It's not a picture. I didn't win any awards with the picture at all. I think I got an honorable mention in the contest. But it was a picture that everybody saw. They absolutely thought, oh, this is serious. So that was my claim to fame in 1989. That was probably the most dangerous. You know, I've been on murder scenes, I've been on all kinds of stuff, but I was around all question with the 3 years. Any other questions? Yes.
What kind of do you try to give a message through these photos? Is there like a message you try to send through these photos?
No, I just try to shoot. I just try to photograph what's there. And let's say it's let's take this photo for instance. This is a story about how the climate is changing in Lake County, and I drove around this mountain for hours looking for people doing stuff. And I wanted to show what it looked like with no trees and hardly any brush. And so it conveys that, that harsh look. That's what I was looking for. But I don't go and make up what I'm trying to. I just photograph whatever I see. A lot of times we do environmental portraits, and we have to kind of put people in an area where that's their part of their job or part of what they do. But as far as now, I try to look for something that's going to be pleasing to the eye, that's going to tell a story. That old adage of pictures is worth 1,000 words. It really is. It's worth more than that, because if you get a great photo, no story can ever describe what the photo can describe. Some people will disagree with me on that. There's some great writers out there. But photographs are special. They're all special to their own place. I don't know. It's just kind of a, it's just kind of what we do. Photographers, for the most part, look at the world a little bit different. If I drive down the road, like right now, I'm looking at how the door is framed, the lights in the background. I'm constantly framing. It's used to drive my ex quite crazy because I'm constantly framing everything. I'm looking, so there's no phone poles coming out of people's heads. So there's no fence posts coming out of your back. I'm looking for things in a clean image. Something like this guy here. I shot a lot of pictures, and it was all busy, but I managed to frame him in that light there, so you can kind of see his face. I'm looking for stories I'm looking for pictures that tell a story in one image, because that's what we do. A lot of times you get picture stories and you do a lot of pictures. But I like to frame. Any other questions? Maybe shot? Yes, back there.
What's the most exhilarating thing about photography?
I'm sorry, can you speak up a little bit?
What's the most exhilarating thing about photography?
Oh, when you get the picture. That's and when you know you nailed something like the explosion, like the firework explosion. That's a terrible, terrible thing that happened. 7 people were killed. But when I got that picture, I was like, oh my gosh, I got a picture of that. I can't believe I got that picture. When you get a good picture, you are exhilarated. It pushes you to the next. It pushes you to the next level. It pushes you to the next level. You're always learning, but you're always making mistakes, and that's how you learn every single day. Don't be frustrated.
Christopher?
Yes, Christopher.
You said you use flash drives, so I was wondering how big the flash drives are and
To file stuff.
data file stuff.
I do. I use a 2 terabyte file drive. I'll go through about one of those every 2 months. 2 or 3 months. Depends on how much I do that.
But that's
This is what I'm shooting pictures on. It's a 64 gig drive. So that's what I'm shooting every day in my daily work. Yeah, we file everything because you never know when somebody's going to come back to you and say, oh, that's okay. You always have a record of what you shot. I keep all the outtakes, I keep all the out of focus pictures, I keep all the overexposed pictures, all the underexposed, everything, we keep everything. Yes.
You mentioned, you referenced the code that allows you to be, like, you're a photojournalist.
49.5.
Yeah, and that's like a law.
It's a penal code law in the state of California that allows journalists special access in disaster zones. Law enforcement aren't really know, they know about it, sometimes they keep this out. Most of the time they don't. It's something that is unique to California. I think Ohio might have something like that, but there's states like Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, where they don't get access to spot movies. You see that?
Because you work for the Press Democrat, like you're traveling a lot for like climate change and weather environments. Like, do they pay for your travel? Like, take flight to Nebraska pictures or?
No, that's all on my own dime. I do that as I've gotten older and more mature with how I want my photography, how I'd like it to evolve. I decided that, well, one year I went on my farm trip. I went through Arizona, went to Lake Mead, and spent 2 days at Lake Mead, documenting the boats inside Lake Mead that were, in the cracked parts, the cracked lake bed, the hotels on the edge of the lake that were, pretty much abandoned. That's how I do it on my own because nobody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it. And I have probably 500 completed images of things that I've shot in the last 5 years of storm chasing. When I go storm chasing, our storms have gotten violent. They've got, they've gotten numerous. People are going to disagree with me on this one. I see it, and so I have this body of work that somewhere down the line someone's going to see it. I do it for me. I do it for me and the people that I come in contact with, not necessarily the newspapers, because they have published me that I know about. Okay, one last question. Have I ever regretted any picture I've ever taken? No, I document first, and then you feel bad when you do. Years ago, there was a drowning at Pulitzer Memorial Beach, and my wife and I were on going to a golf tournament in part. It was our day off. She worked for Christine Brown, and the drowning had happened the day before, and they couldn't find the 10-year-old boy. And to get to the park, you have to go over the bridge, and you go up Fish Mountain to get to the golf course. And as we were driving, of course, I always keep my cameras with me because you never know. You never know when something's going to happen. And I looked over to my right, and we found this little boy. And the mother and father were down there, and I got this amazing image of the mother seated on the bank of the river, holding her son. And the father is above him, is above her, and they're both crying and wailing. I shot the picture, and I don't regret shooting the picture. Although the photo never easily would have won hundreds of awards. It was that good. But we never published the picture, which is okay with me because it was a really, it's just something a lot of people can see. What is waking people up, maybe, it was, we had a lot of drownings in the river. But it's one of my look at that. Once in a while, we feel bad when we take a picture, but you gotta have to document. If something happens at a football game or a basketball game, and somebody gets injured, take a picture. No matter if we ever use it or not, but 1,000 people saw what happened. And if you don't take that picture, 1,000 people are gonna come up with that picture as a story. That's the way I look at it. Always document.
And I think you're a good example of your job is also your passion.
Yes.
And
Probably a little too much.
yeah, well, it's like you're never going to work, and money's important, but doing what you love is really important. So, Ken, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the resources here, he's willing to talk to you individually if you have some individual questions you'd like to do. We do have cookies and some refreshments out there. I have enough cookies for like one per person, so don't be a piggy. Please make sure I get my clipboards back on the table out there. If you have questions on level ones, let me know. Thank you for being here. Appreciate
One, we got to return the equipment.
Oh yeah, it's cookies.
Vice President?
Yep. This is the president of BSU.
Yeah, by the way,
He told you. What did they tell you?
Thanks, maybe it was great.
Oh, you're gonna get my
Yeah, so just your vote line reviews of this article provided, and then get to a PDI. There's a PDI just because I have so when somebody goes to digital portfolio,
Oh, that's not good.
one level one is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just one. So, like I said,
we have no idea.
How many lunges there are? I mean, a lunge probably has to be just like my age, Christy. Nowadays,
It started. Gonna help keep the caffeine.
Hey, Coach hasn't responded. I emailed him about.
A little different for our STEM cafe. What do you think?
That was pretty good.
I wanted to check in with you first before asking.
This coming Monday, the 22nd.
Okay, and I'll just check in with you. Yeah.
Right.
Like today was like super hot.
But if you could do, yeah, you know, I took some pictures, well, it's easy too,
Sounds delicious. All right, Mark, take care. Question? Okay. You need to do your STEM level 1, right? So you're going to read this, and you're going to use this to write up this talk, and then you're going to go to the curriculum document.
I'll fix it as best I can, but, you know,
Write up that article, and make it a Google Doc, write it all up, turn it into a PDF.
Today's gonna be like Monday or Wednesdays.
Like, you have a digital portfolio yet? You gotta wait. It doesn't have to be fancy at first, you just need to have one, because that's where you're gonna put this document. So, your science teacher. Okay, so you need to find some sort of advisor, and it actually is probably Miss Tace or Miss,
but I can go to a different country, if that was
So she will go, you can give her your, I will give it to her.
So for now,
URLs for your website. You'll go to it, she'll read your thing, and then she'll tell you what she thinks.
yeah, both are overriding.
And I will.
so I'll talk to you tomorrow.
But you gotta do 2 of these, right?
Wednesday, you guys get up early, you guys start practice early on Wednesday?
Your thing. Okay? Yeah, and if you have questions, you know where to find me.
And I'll just check with Coach tomorrow and we'll
You know, people do this, and then they go to forget about it.
He told me, oh, I want it, okay, I sent that
So
information.
you forget to post it. So what class? Okay. So, yeah, get the extra credit for sure. So, I'll just tell you, so,
Well, yeah, we're,
you know, good to have, and it might inspire you.
I'm going to share that.
Your song.
Oh, yeah, I did. It was the first one there. Good night, thank you.
What you want to do or have a plan. But, bye guys, thanks for coming. You know, having a step level 2 or step level 3 project gives you a designation. It could separate you from everybody else that's applying to colleges or applying to scholarships. So really think about, you know, do you want to participate in a STEM certificate program? If you plan on going to college somewhere, it's a great idea. So, and then you know what I'm if you have questions. So you can do two here. You can do two STEM cafes. You can do a STEM cafe. You can come next Wednesday to my planetarium show. You can write that out. So you can actually design your own STEM cafe. Let's say your parents, excuse me, take you to like to the Academy of Science in San Francisco, museum, something like that. That can count as a shoot. Yep, the math thing, the math modeling, yes, exactly. So math modeling counts as a STEM level 1. Sometimes it can even count as a STEM level 2. So yeah. You do, but you just gotta write them up. So just do it, get it over with, and don't worry about it. And think about maybe doing a level 2 there. Maybe have my Rocket Club. Astronomy stuff. I'm going to be posting on the Facebook Classroom and new opportunities that you guys may have to do a level 2 or 3. And sophomore, this year and next year, I do recommend that if you want to do a level 2 or 3, especially, do it at the very latest by the end of your year. Because if you're watching a movie, So are the cookies any good?
Oh my goodness. Best cookies I've ever
Thank you.
had.
I know, right? I want to stick one on like a marshmallow roaster instead of roast the marshmallows over
They were so
fire and melt
soft,
the
so
chocolate.
gooey. Yes, they were so good.
Yeah,
There's a lot extra out there.
caramel.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Oh, it's
Bye.
marshmallows.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
The chewy stuff is marshmallows.
The
And
what?
then it melts in the oven, so like
I
that's
know.
pretty
Did you make them then? That's why you're glazing them?
No, I'm not.
He's hyping them because he made them, right?
No.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, you guys. Bye, Julie.
No life whatsoever.
Alright, thanks so much. It was nice talking to you. Have a nice day. Thank you. And Miss Mary, who made those cookies? I want the recipe.
Cookies. It's cookies.
Who made them? I want the recipe.
Culinary did. So ask
Alright, thank you.
and her students make them.
I'm
I know
gonna
they're,
can I take them?
they're good. I want to, yes.
Like what did
Go to school. Yeah, go to, finish high school if you can, but, you don't have to go to college. It's just not an easy profession, and it's getting harder. It's very fun stuff. If you wanted to get a degree in journalism, go to a journalism school. JC is a great starting point. There's lots of great journalism schools.
Write those things up so you don't have to worry about them. If you got questions, let me know.
I went to school. So, and,
That's fun.
I started doing that half a degree, and I had a degree in all kinds of stuff. So hard work though.
I'm gonna put it back over there. Thank you. Have a good night.
I think you too.
Oh, it's so. That's nice.
That's right, right?
Oh, I go.
Was this last December?
Last December 17th. I was wondering what this was.
Oh, it's the archives.
Yeah, I can't trust them.
So what kind of camera do you use?
You have a standing here?
Right. You can, with the Sonys and Canons, they have adapters now. So you can use, if you have a Sony camera, you can use Canon lenses. They have adapters now. And it's the same, but they don't quite match up. But if you have Canon cameras now,
Yes.
you can, but you need to have grants out of Sony. We'll give grants, and then we'll give grants to educational centers. actually supply cameras.
It's just,
Don't do that, we just contact your Sony reps.
We get lost.
They're not who the rep is. Tell them what you know, have the teacher tell them what they're trying to do. A lot of times they'll tell you. Or they'll discount price.
Yeah.
They're very good at it.
thank you.
Thank you, very nice to meet you. Thank you for coming, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, be safe.
You too. Bye, Mindy.
Bye. What do you say?
Cannon.
Yeah, they have cannons. They have like Rebels right now.
Yeah, the Rebels are good start.
Thank you, that's what I told them. I said,
Bye.
do a
You're
lot.
welcome, bye. That's what I used to use. Microphone about my son.
Most of them just.
He's got more talent in one finger than I have in the whole body. He's a great photographer. If he doesn't do it.
Who? Oh, your kid?
Yeah.
Oh.
Really good. Really got a great eye. I just kind of follow along. He does video now. He's got a drift car. He's fired and stuff.
Oh.
He does videos. And he's just very good at what he does. Well, this was fun. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming.
Glad it worked out. I hope I wasn't too boring.
I really like both.
Oh, me too.
All of these are good.
Photography's fun.
Photography is good. And journalism is great.
It's a
Well, she
passion.
started the paper up again here.
But there is one here.
Is there?
Uh,
Somebody's.
The journalism elective, we have the Pioneer Prospector.
Are you guys actually, yeah, and you're publishing them?
We're not publishing them.
It's all online.
It's all like an online app, just like a school local.
Yeah.
But it's really, really fun, and
I like that stuff. I mean, I do the entire social media, so if you guys ever like put it out, we should like post it, like, talk to the journalism. Or was the club, is it a club? Or
it's a
an
class,
elective?
and it's like an elective class.
Okay.
I don't have it this year, unfortunately, because, but
Well, stay with it. That's what you're interested in. Stay
Definitely.
with it.
Mr. Kruger was saying it was, that you write a lot, like just.
That's good.
That's all I write.
You got it.
they're all fascinated too.
That's.
You know what, I started doing it when I was in 8th grade, I started writing school paper in 8th grade, I was terrible at it.
No, I read your brother blog, he did it years and years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
you know, you wrote really well, I thought. It was entertaining, it was good writing.
I was just trying to-
I read way worse writing.
Yeah, well, now I'm really concentrating on the part. I'm really zoned in on that now because
Yeah,
realistically, I've got left 2 good years left.
I know, I've heard about that.
Because
When you do it, we can do it.
the body just says, you're done.
Did you keep going?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Ansel Adams died, he was 80.
Take pictures of.
It was 80 or 83 when he died, and he was carrying around an 8x10 camera when he was 75 years old.
Well, you look at the pictures of him, he looks older, and he's like back in the backcountry at
God,
Yosemite
he's a
with
beast.
this, with those huge
Yeah.
cameras, you know?
It's a passion.
Who's this?
Ansel Adams.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
Oh, they,
It's nice
yeah.
to meet you.
Biggest crowd I've had in a long time.
Was it? Good.
Don't
Good.
think about it.
It's good, it's a young
Usually the highlight
youngest
is
crowd,
somewhere around
great
stuff.
questions.
I know.
It
You know,
is
it's
fun.
easy to do sports
Okay.
and clubs, and I do that all the time at ASB, but there's other cool
Visual,
stuff
it's
that happens here a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
ECM.
Right, yeah, well, that's why I do this.
Yeah.
It's visual. That's
It's like going in outer space,
And
right?
kids
And
are
I
used,
also
yeah,
learned
kids
about
are used to
ECM
that.
and
that medium,
yeah.
One
so.
of the same to kids. I wrote about
So,
the
yeah.
race program, the credit recovery.
Not so much
I wrote about the
what
Spark Center. I
It's
wrote
kind of
about
like it's coming.
sports,
Did you?
Yeah.
Now it's like
You know
it's
what, because I'm
overload.
Yeah,
really.
I know.
I have to unplug at about 9 o'clock. I have to
Build
unplug
up
it. It's like I
the
just
social media.
Yeah, I know.
So you got the website.
Yeah.
You want to publish something, you need to, now you
It's
said,
an hour.
who's that talking, you don't have Instagram?
I don't have Instagram.
Let me give you my cell phone, why
That's
don't you
not
text
hard
me it?
anymore.
Send your email.
Thanks, Kurt, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you
absolutely. I
taking
wanna-
the
that
time
would be really
and
cool to
No problem.
influencing young women like that right there.
You have a great
Oh, he's gonna go out and buy a camera now.
by the way. Sophie, pleasure.
Thanks, Ken, I really appreciate it.
Encourage her.
I definitely
Yes.
do. That's why I waited in the car for 2 hours. So.
Oh, why didn't you come in?
Oh, I didn't know because I saw so many people coming in, and then I work from home, so I just worked in the car.
Oh, that's
Welcome too.
But
Thanks,
thank you.
Peter.
That
Well,
means a
it's,
lot.
you know, This is great school.
And then,
It doesn't get enough credit,
and I'll
it's a
send you
great
mine,
school.
and
It
then.
really is, and I'm proud. She definitely, I don't know, you know, she was an artist.
It's fixing to get a little
I'll
more
post
crowded
it, like,
next
when
year
did you
though,
write
right?
it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you hear that
I wrote the article.
Montgomery is up
Well, it started off as a
650
collaboration
students now
between
because of their
the high school actually.
school
Oh,
It was
yeah,
actually
yeah,
supposed to be for.
I know, well, they're planning,
Stopping.
we've got 15, 50
Trying to prevent
right
actually being
now.
closed.
You know,
So
for us,
it was
it's
working
big.
with LC,
Big, and they're planning.
Santa Rosa, Heiner, Montgomery, we were all coming together. And we spent
I've heard
months
some
doing calls,
students who are
messages,
doing
gathering
that
photos,
for
and talking to people,
seniors,
interviewing people all individually.
like make it
And
work over there already.
Oh, well, they're
we
that
all
kind
worked
of
together.
small anyway. They've got those beautiful buildings over there,
I don't know if
but,
that puts it together.
and they already have
but I
2,000
went out
students
first.
in this.
Yeah.
And
2,200.
had individual
And now they've got,
schools
well, no, I
and
think it's
why
1,600.
Well, they were,
Oh, okay, yeah.
they were
We have this
down to
jewelry.
about
Yeah, they have this,
15
right?
or
And
14 something.
Pioneer was like exceptional.
I know, way back up.
They're back up.
It's crowded, and of course, they've got that chain link fence
all of the
around
things
it.
that we had
Build the fence, come on,
to
guys.
show our school's culture and life.
So here's the
Nice
thing I'm
to meet you.
I think I heard you say
Not only the
at
article
night
you wrote,
start to check out.
but the thing you just told me, the backstory,
Yeah.
the background.
Go on, get some rest.
Yeah, well, no,
Oh,
but
my-
there's that
Tell me
cutoff for
about
me.
the photo, I need to, I want to know the backstory.
Thank you,
Thank you.
When I
Take
post
care.
on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and I share, I try to write down what I'm interested in, you know, so I think that would be really cool to, as an introduction, and then if you're interested, here's the article. I would love to, like,
so fun.
oh, yeah, because that's that's kind of recent events, I would love to put it on like the Spark website, and then I would, so what I would do is I'd probably put it there and then share it with Heiner. Stuff, but,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
yes, I try.
Yeah.
Way more activities.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
And
yeah,
all her
Oh,
shoes.
definitely, you got my number, text me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're
I'll send you.
Not doing so much.
It's not for Danielle
But
or.
I get to spend time with her.
Whichever you want.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good.
So
Enjoy
one
it while you
first
can.
one.
It does end eventually.
We got some cool content. She wrote an article about like the different schools in the Spark Center, and I said we should put that on our website.
I know.
She's very excited about it, so I'm gonna have her.
Okay, good.
We're gonna hook up and
Good.
chat and get the
I bet we're
information.
amazing people.
Okay.
I've met a lot of cool people. They're great.
Did
That's
you?
good.
I think you met, you've always been really great.
I've met the mayor of Santa Rosa, Mom. I've met a lot of people.
Alright, well, you all set?
You're never gonna get to sleep tonight. I can.
I still have
Just like
homework
so
to
juiced
do.
up.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
getting tired just looking at you. So.
Put that girl on a
That's
conveyor
right.
belt.
She loves school.
I
You
get
know,
to
she
write
can
all about
complain
this
about
for
it.
those.
Okay, that's.
Alright, ready? Let's go. I think everybody
Oh,
has to go.
okay, fine.
Mom,
All
sorry.
right.
Oh, no, I'm okay.
It's
I need
good.
real food. I need real food first. I
Can I
haven't
get a
eaten.
cookie?
Yeah, you can have a cookie. I just need real food.
Gosh, she doesn't.
Oh yeah. Go through here.
Oh.
Go through here. Yeah. I got it indoors already.
Oh. I get a cookie.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you so much.
Go get a cookie.
Oh, she hasn't changed since she was born. She's always been so active, loves
Well, I love that she's like, not afraid to get out there. And she's, yeah, that's cool. We need more people.
She pretends she's afraid. She always thinks she is, but she loves learning. She loves doing all these programs.
Teacher, because how is she a sophomore?
Yeah, she's a sophomore, 15.
She'll mature in the next couple of years. I see. She just needs to, don't be apologetic. Just be confident, she'll do a little bit.
It's amazing because how she is with us, and then when she tells us she wants to go to these programs or go here and here, and I'm like,
Practice makes perfect, right?
I never seen her go out hiking. Like, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, that was I never seen her hiking, and then for the summer she